T.I.'s son, King Harris, has been arrested after not appearing in court and some other things connected.
I'm trying to coddle him for. Let the man walk off, have some time to himself, sit down, soak it up, and come up with what he need to do.
Yeah, so him being arrested isn't really like the shocker. It's him coming out and his, I guess, reaction to it, right? Because everybody's saying, King, you grew up privileged, bro. Why are you going down this path? Now he's talking about F the police, F12. So,
The story begins with chaos and fear inside a jail cell where King Harris, the son of rapper T.I., faced something he never imagined. The same young man who once carried himself with loud confidence, posting boldly on social media and living like the world was his stage, suddenly found himself in a place where none of that mattered. The walls were cold, the air was heavy, and the people around him weren't impressed by his last name. And then one night everything changed. Reports started to surface that King had been attacked inside jail. The details were shocking. No cameras, no security guards rushing in fast enough. Just a scuffle that turned violent and left King bruised and shaken. The news spread quickly, but the real turning point came when his father, T.I., the same man known as the King of the South in hip-hop, the man who had built an empire off strength and resilience, was suddenly on the verge of tears, begging for his son's safety and freedom. People had seen T.I. as confident, sometimes controversial, but always in control. This time was different. This was a father whose world was crashing down around him. But to understand why this moment hit so hard, you have to look back at the path that led King here. King Harris has always been different from his siblings. While his brothers and sisters kept their heads down and focused on school, music, or building their own quiet brands, King was loud. He was brash. He wanted attention and made sure he got it. Whether it was arguing online, flashing money on Instagram, or starting fights in public, King carried himself like he had something to prove. To him, being the son of T.I. wasn't enough. He wanted his own shine, but he often chased it in the most reckless ways. For months, fans had watched him spiral. Every time his name came up online, it was tied to another controversy. Videos of him fighting, arguments with strangers, defiance against authority. It all built a picture of a young man walking straight toward trouble. And then trouble came. The clash with the law, the arrest, and then the image nobody expected. King Harris, locked up. At first, King seemed unfazed. In fact, some say he even carried his same attitude into the jail, walking in like he was untouchable. But jail has a way of stripping away illusions quickly. It doesn't care about who your father is, how many followers you have, or how much money your family makes. And for King, that reality hit the moment the attack happened. Reports describe it as sudden, violent, and terrifying. Other inmates who witnessed it said King looked stunned, caught off guard, and for the first time, vulnerable. When word reached T.I., everything changed. This wasn't about music, fame, or headlines anymore. This was about a father realizing his son was in real danger, the kind of danger you can't negotiate your way out of with money or fame. The same T.I. who once rapped about surviving the streets, who built his brand on being tough and untouchable, now found himself in a position no father ever wants to be in: begging. Not begging fans, not begging critics, but begging for his son's freedom, his son's safety, his son's life. People who know T.I. say the moment he heard about the attack, he was furious and broken at the same time. He immediately started calling lawyers, reaching out to officials, pulling every string he could think of to make sure King wasn't just another statistic inside those walls. He went from superstar to father in seconds, and the fear in his voice told the world just how real this situation had become. And then came the family reaction. Tiny, King's mother, was devastated. Insiders say she broke down when she heard the news, worried not just about her son's physical safety, but about his spirit. She had warned him for months that the path he was walking could only end in disaster, but King had refused to listen. Now, her worst fears were coming true. His siblings, too, were shaken. While some tried to stay silent publicly, behind closed doors, the family was in chaos. The once glamorous Harris household now felt like it was collapsing under the weight of a crisis no one saw coming this fast. Fans, of course, wasted no time weighing in. Social media became a battlefield. Some mocked King, saying this was the reality check he needed. They called him spoiled, reckless, and arrogant, claiming jail was exactly where he belonged. But others had compassion, reminding everyone that at the end of the day he was still young, still figuring life out, and no one deserved to be attacked, no matter their mistakes. The debate grew louder when videos of T.I.'s pleas started circulating. For some, it was heartbreaking to see a man who once embodied strength looking so vulnerable. For others, it raised questions. Should King be given special treatment because of who his father is? Or should he be held to the same standards as everyone else? Meanwhile, celebrities began speaking up. Some offered support, saying they understood T.I.'s pain as a parent. Others criticized the situation, pointing out that fame and privilege don't erase responsibility. The conversation shifted from just being about King's attack to being about privilege, parenting, and the harsh realities of fame. But through all the noise, one thing was clear: T.I. wasn't giving up. Sources close to him say he launched a full-scale effort behind the scenes. He pushed his lawyers harder, reached out to contacts in politics and law enforcement, and even made personal calls to people inside the jail system to demand protection for King. He wasn't just asking for better treatment. He was demanding it, making it clear that if anything happened to his son again, there would be consequences. The image of T.I. fighting for his son resonated deeply. People saw a man who had lived through the streets, survived the industry, and built a career out of resilience, now fighting his most personal battle yet. This wasn't about lyrics, awards, or fame. This was about blood, family, and the desperate need to protect what mattered most. Still, questions lingered. What really happened the night of the attack? Was King targeted because of who he was? Did his attitude provoke the incident? Or was it just the brutal reality of jail life playing out? No one had clear answers, and that uncertainty made the story even more explosive. As days turned into weeks, the uncertainty only grew. Reports of ongoing tension inside the jail surfaced. Some claimed King was still being watched closely by other inmates. Others said he had been moved for his own safety. T.I., meanwhile, kept up the pressure, insisting his son's time inside needed to end. His pleas grew louder, more emotional, more desperate. In interviews, in statements, and even in private conversations that leaked to the press, he begged for his son's freedom. He argued that King didn't need punishment. He needed guidance, structure, and a chance to turn his life around before it was too late. But will it be enough? That's the haunting question hanging over this entire situation. The attack was only the beginning. The scars it left on King, both physical and emotional, may last long after the headlines fade. For T.I., the fight for his son's safety is now the most important battle of his life. For fans, the story is a reminder of how quickly fame, arrogance, and bad decisions can spiral into something far darker. And so, the world waits, holding its breath, watching every headline, every post, every update. Will King Harris walk out of jail and turn this painful chapter into a story of redemption and growth? Will this be the defining moment that pushes him toward change, maturity, and purpose? Or will the trauma, the pressure, and the weight of this experience pull him further into the dangerous cycle he's been struggling to escape? For T.I., the answer can't come soon enough. This isn't just about public perception or media scrutiny. This is about a father's desperate cry for his child's safety, a raw and emotional plea that echoes louder than any song he's ever recorded, louder than the cheers of any sold-out crowd. Spare my son. Protect my son. Free my son. T.I. has faced battles before, in music, in business, even in his personal life. But nothing prepares a parent for this kind of pain. Watching your child behind bars, vulnerable to violence, to influence, to hopelessness, is a nightmare no success can shield you from. The recent attack on King wasn't just a random event. It was a terrifying wake-up call. A jarring reminder that jail is not just confinement. It's danger, it's trauma, it's survival. And as the legal system drags its feet and justice moves at a glacial pace, time becomes the real enemy. One thing is certain, this story is far from over. What happens next could shape not only King Harris's future, but also the legacy of T.I. as a father who fought, who cared, and who stood by his son when it mattered most. For fans and onlookers, it's a chilling reminder that fame can't protect you from life's harshest truths.